I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging.
Hello and welcome to Let's Chat. We're here today to talk to our university panellists about studying construction or engineering degrees. Today, our panellists are from Western Sydney University, Dr. Spenny Senati, Construction Management. Also from Western Sydney University, Associate Professor Fidelis Mashiri, Undergraduate Civil and Construction. From UTS, we have Harrison Kim, who's a current student at the moment in the Bachelor of Engineering, Biomedical Engineering. From the University of New South Wales, we have Kiri Murphy, Senior Recruitment Product Manager, Engineering. And from Griffith University, we have Jodie Brooks, Student Engagement Officer. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. Today, we're here to talk, of course, about engineering and construction. But first of all, I'd like to go around to our panellists. And if you could just give me a little bit of information about your university and, of course, where you're located for our interstate viewers. I'll start with you today, Jodie, if you could.
Yeah, hi. As you can tell by my background, we are in Queensland and our construction management degree is at our Gold Coast campus. Our engineering degree you can do either at our Gold Coast or our Nathan campus, which is in Brisbane.
Thank you very much for that. Kiri, from UNSW.
Thanks, Trudy. So University of New South Wales, we are located in Sydney. We're in the eastern suburbs, so we're about 10 minutes by bus from the beach and about 20 minutes by bus from the CBD. And we have degrees in construction management and within engineering. We have a Bachelor of Engineering, Bachelor of Computer Science, and a Bachelor of Food Science.
Thank you. Harrison from UTS.
Hi. So UTS is actually set up in the heart of the city. So if you caught a train potentially to Central, you could easily walk from there about 10 to 15 minutes away. Both our engineering as well as our construction management courses are both held at our UTS/city campus.
Thank you for that. And we'll go to Sapani. Could you tell us about Western Sydney, please?
Yes, hi. So we are located in Western Sydney, as the name implies, and we have several campuses within Western Sydney, around 10 campuses, and also one in the city, Sydney City. So construction management programs and engineering programs are mainly offered in Parramatta and in Kingswood campuses.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. That's really good information, especially for those who are tuning in from interstate, because they don't necessarily know where all of our institutions are. I'm going to start with you again, Sapani. Can you tell us, what does a degree in construction management involve? What is that about?
Yes, thank you for that question. Yes, so construction management here at Western Sydney is a 4-year degree that has an honours qualification. Everyone would be getting honours. And there's 2 pathways. Students can opt to specialise either in quantity surveying pathway or building surveying pathway based on how they select their elective units. It covers mainly 3, we say 4 pillars: construction technology units, construction law, construction economics, and management units. So the degree at Western Sydney is accredited locally by AIB and AIQS, and we also have international accreditation, that is CIOB, and we are currently seeking RICS accreditations. And it's very highly demanded. It's in fact the largest CM program in Australia with 1,500 students currently enrolled. So I think that's about it.
Thank you for that. And Fidelis, could you give us a basic overview of engineering? Because it's not just about building bridges, is it?
No. So you can do quite a lot of other different specializations as well. So at Western Sydney, you can do civil engineering or construction engineering. We also have electrical and mechanical engineering, and you can also do mechatronics and robotics engineering. Next year, we also have new key programs in advanced manufacturing, materials. Those would be some of the new key programs, including sustainability engineering as well. So I think as similar to construction management, our engineering degrees are honors degrees, and they take 4 years to complete as well. And they are also accredited by Engineers Australia. So if you look at the structure of the course, the first year is a common first year, so students tend to do similar units in first year, and then as they go into second year, they start to specialize into the different key programs that we mentioned earlier. And in the third and fourth years, they are dealing mostly with design and application, so projects and also thesis as well. Thank you.
Fantastic information. Thanks. Harrison, I'm going to go to you because you're a student in engineering. You're doing, tell us about it, biomedical engineering, is that right?
Yes.
Can you give me a little bit of information about that? Because it sounds quite interesting. And can you give me a little bit of an overview of what other kinds of engineering are offered at UTS?
Sure. So I'll start with biomedical engineering because it seems the most easiest to go into the segue for. But predominantly what biomedical engineering focuses on is the application and the, I guess, the focus on creating more medical devices, of things that are focusing more on interactions with human beings. So such things as stuff in hospitals, like hospital beds, for example, potential things like heart, like pacemakers, hearing aids, that sort of stuff as well. So anything that kind of involves a human being, where there's any form of engineering or design focus, is something a biomedical engineer can go into. Leading on from that, the different types of engineering that we do have at UTS is, for example, we have civil engineering, we have civil and environment engineering for individuals who want to more focus on the environmental side of civil sort of aspects. We have data engineering, which focuses more on the data instructions, as well as focusing more on the technological aspects of big data and that sort of thing as we grow as a society. We've got electrical engineering, more focusing on the general applications of electrical, such as power plants and such. Mechanical engineering, mechatronic engineering, which are both separate, one more focusing on the robotic side with mechatronics, and mechanical more focusing on the physical side of things. And if you want to dabble in a little bit of both, you've got mechanical and mechatronic engineering. Next, we have software engineering, which focuses more on the software side of stuff, so more focusing on the software in regards to programming and such as well. We have electronic engineering, which more focuses on the little microprocessors, as well as little sort of things that you might see in a computer, for example, in your phone, that sort of stuff as well. And like before as well, for mechatronic and mechanical, we also have an electrical and electronic engineering degree, which combines both aspects of them as well. And finally, we also do have our flexible engineering as well, which is kind of our way of, if you're unsure of what sort of degree that you want to go to, you can choose to opt into our flexible engineering degree. Try out a bunch of different sort of subjects over a variety of different streams, i.e. degrees. And then from there, for the next year, you can choose to focus on a particular one, such as civil, software, and so on and so forth.
And do you find as a student that you are interacting with other students from different disciplines? Do you work together, so to speak, or you're mainly a little bit separated because they're a little bit more bespoke type of or niche type of engineering degrees?
I guess personally, as a biomedical engineering student, being it very niche in comparison to traditional engineering because it's more focused on science, there is times where I'm more inclined to be working with science students, because such things as like chemistry or certain biology subjects, that sort of stuff may occur. However, in the most aspects of stuff, say for maybe believe civil and potentially some software and electronic subjects, the majority of the subjects within UTS are very a lot of the main sort of subjects are overlapping with one another. So certain things such as engineering project management, focusing on the design implementation of certain things as well. A lot of those will be taught in all the sort of degrees, and you'll be able to meet a large variety of these disciplines, which is almost akin to, I guess, the real life careers. But like you've said as well, because there are certain niche sort of subjects in terms of specializations and specificities, you do end up having more time with individuals who are in your particular degree.
So you would sort of also might say that some students who are even just thinking of a science degree may even look at some engineering courses, because there is a big overlap, as you said. You know, you're studying alongside some science students. So, you know, that's interesting for our audience to know, because sometimes, as we know, you know, students at year 12 level, they know the basic sort of courses, but they don't necessarily know everything that's out there. And it's usually once you get into university, they find out that there is so much more that they can learn. So that's interesting to know. Okay, I'm going to now turn to Kiri. I'm going to ask you, because I know that UNSW has a huge number of different engineering courses. Can you just advise us what you think HSC courses, you know, students should pick when they're going into senior school to make them more successful in this type of degree?
Yeah, absolutely. So certainly there's some courses that we do recommend for students, knowledge that we think is really sets them up to be successful when they enter into our degrees. So for construction, we would recommend English, maths, design technology, business, some of those foundational type courses. For engineering degrees, we really look for students to have taken mathematics and physics in their year 12. Our engineering courses are taught on the assumption that students have that knowledge from their year 12 subjects. So that would be our recommendation for students that are looking at entering into construction and engineering.
And that's really great to know. I mean, we're always asked by students, you know, should I be doing maths? Should I be doing physics? Things like that. Yes, and yes, especially if you want to go into, you know, construction and engineering, because, you know, it's quite technical, quite mathematically based, is my understanding. Fidelis, would you say exactly the same thing as Kiri has in terms of HSC courses, maths, physics?
Yeah, so for engineering, so as Kiri said, we recommend physics and maybe HSC Mathematics Extension 1 or 2. And for assumed knowledge, I think Kiri also mentioned English, so 2 units of English or 2 units of science is the assumed knowledge for engineering. And mathematics maybe at band 5 or higher.
Great. And what if they haven't taken one of these courses? You know, what will happen? Or can they still get into the degree, Kiri?
Absolutely. So for our degrees at UNSW, it's not required that students have studied these subjects previously. So certainly if there's a student watching who hasn't necessarily taken those subjects, don't be discouraged, still eligible for our degrees. For those students who are feeling like they might not be as comfortable coming into the degree without some of that mathematics or that physics knowledge, we do have what's called bridging courses. So students are able to take a bridging course just to get them up to speed before they start the degree with us.
Fantastic. And are there additional units to study if they feel that they need more than the bridging course?
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of resources available to students in their first year. Absolutely, we understand that students sometimes might come in at slightly different levels. And that's when some of our additional resources outside the classroom can really come into play to help get students up to speed and get them feeling comfortable with the material.
Fantastic. Jody, would you say the same thing? I think we're all in agreement here, but
Yes, definitely. The other thing that we also offer is our aptitude for engineering assessment test. So that is a 2.5-hour multiple choice test. And if the students don't have their prerequisites for like their engineering degree, for example, then they can sit this test. And if they pass the test, which tests it assesses their ability to think scientifically and solve quantitative problems, and if they pass that test, then they will be given an offer into our engineering degree as well.
That sounds fantastic. Because you are in Queensland and each state, universities may have prerequisites, does Griffith have a prerequisite for construction or engineering?
Yeah, we do have subject prerequisites. So for New South Wales students would be any 2 units of English, and then Mathematics Standard 2 or Mathematics Advanced for construction management. And then for engineering, the prerequisite is any 2 units of English and then Mathematics Advanced as well.
Fantastic. That's really great to know. And for anybody coming in from interstate, you can find out the different equivalents for subjects across states on the UAC website. So if you're tuning in from another state other than Queensland or, of course, New South Wales, that information is ready there for you. Okay, so I'm going to keep with you, Kiri, and can you tell us about the different types of engineering that students study with you?
Absolutely. So at UNSW, we have quite a range of engineering that students can choose to specialize in. So we actually have 20 different streams for students to choose from. And that includes your really traditional engineering, so things like chemical, mechanical, or electrical engineering. But we also have some more up and coming areas of engineering. And that includes things like photovoltaics and solar energy, and also our very new quantum engineering stream. So there's lots of opportunities for students to really specialize and hone in on what interests them. That being said, for students who might not know exactly what it is that they want to do as their stream in engineering, we do have what's called flexible first year. So students can come in and do a bit of experimentation within engineering and really figure out where it is that they want to go. There's lots of flexibility built into our degrees because we want students to be making choices about what really interests them. So once a student has chosen their stream, there's a range of electives that they can choose from to really start setting themselves up for the career that they want after they graduate.
Fantastic. And Sapani, can you give us a little bit of information, or can you tell us about the different career opportunities, that students can get once they've finished their degrees?
Yeah, so when it comes to construction management, a good thing is there is not just one profession, there's a range of options available. And so they can end up as a construction manager or a contractor or a consultant or project manager, site manager, contract administrator, quantity survey estimator. So there's a range of options. So they can take any managerial position in the construction industry because we offer the required knowledge related to management law, economics, and technology. And they can also specialize by taking a sub-major or a major to one of these professions. So we have good employment records, like 94% full employment, and there's high satisfaction rates around 93%. So one thing in the program is that they are required to complete 1,200 hours of industry-based learning while they study and before graduation. So they actually get on-the-job experience while they study.
Fantastic. And that was going to be my next question. What kind of work placement do students take on whilst they're doing their degrees with Western Sydney?
Yeah, actually, they're supposed to find their own employment opportunities, but we help them through we have a large network of alumni and industry partners with us, so they always notify us with cadetships. So this generally almost all the students in the final years doing cadetships by that time. So we help them, but it's students' initiative to find their own jobs.
Okay. Harrison, you're a student. Have you done any work placement throughout your degree so far, or is that still to come?
Actually, in fact, I'm actually currently on one of my workplace placements right now. I'm technically meant to be there right now, but obviously we have this right now, so I'm going to go there straight afterwards. But more context on that. But more context on that. So UTS, for the engineering sort of sides, the way we focus on our work placements is in contrast to traditional degrees in terms of other universities. I believe they're about 4 years. UTS comes up as 5 years, and the reason behind that is we have our diploma of professional engineering practice, and that actually is acclamation of 2 6-month internships. So traditionally, one is about between the second and third year of your degree, and the last one's between your fourth and fifth. I'm currently undertaking my second internship. I'm currently working at a acoustic research firm in North Rocks right now, and so that's currently what I'm doing. It's been actually quite good. I just started recently as well, and so a lot of the factors in regards to the engineering sort of stuff as well is really good, and it provides that sort of that real life experience and that foot in the door sort of aspect where. Personally, as well as a lot of my other colleagues who have already graduated at this point, have already gone into grad roles and that sort of thing as well. The majority of those individuals have used that final internship that they've got in the last 6 months or last year of their degree, and they've just literally just graduated and then immediately just been pushed to a graduate role or a full-time engineer or something like that. Or have used that as a resume to potentially lead to various other things, such as potentially consulting or into a much higher sort of larger company as well.
Okay, that sounds really interesting, what you're doing, but it's great that our universities have these additional placements to get students work ready. Kiri, I know you would have that at UNSW as well, but I've heard that on your campus some of your students work with students from other disciplines and build things. And can you tell me about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We really think that it's important to get students working cross-discipline. It's an opportunity to mimic what really happens in the workplace. And we think that it builds great school skills, not only for our engineering students, but of course for our students across campus. So we have many different ways that students hook up between different disciplines, but one of the really key ones is through our vertically integrated projects. So these are courses that students take across a year. It is for credit, but oftentimes students will stay after the year and continue working on them. And they're really projects that are designed to solve a real world problem. They're in conjunction with an academic who's doing research in that area, but really allows the student to really get in and have some ownership over the project. So a great example of one of these projects is our project that prints medical devices for those that have really specific needs. So they'll bring in a customer who needs something done really custom for them and would never be able to afford it outside of this. And they'll 3D print them something that really helps solve a problem that they have in their everyday life. So you've got engineering students working on that, but you've also got, business students coming in and helping out with some of the other aspects that come with that project. And it just ends up being a fantastic opportunity for students to not only work together, but really make a difference.
And I assume that these students could put that on their resumes, because it's really experience that they're getting, across a whole heap of different things, with working with other students, which I think is a great thing. Okay, I'm going to go to you now, Jody. Can these students, construction or engineering students, can they take international exchange at your university and get experiences overseas?
Yeah, so we do offer industry work placements in their final year of study, so 12-week industry placement in engineering or construction, and they can do that either in Australia or overseas when we can go overseas.
And when we can, of course,
yeah.
In this day and age, we never know, do we? But maybe New Zealand next year.
Yeah, true, very true. And our students, so we do have a large range of industry partners, so our students can be matched with their industry mentors and their placements as well, so they don't need to go and search for them.
Oh, that's good. And Fidelis, is that the same at Western Sydney Can students go on international exchange throughout their degree?
Yeah, so students can go for international exchange during their degree program. They can choose to go to any other university around the world, which is connected or linked to Western Sydney. So we have recommendations for those universities. And the students are also able to do their industrial experience overseas if they wish to, but it has to be approved by our academic course advisors, just to make sure that some of the requirements are met. So normally we need to have our engineering students being supervised by professional engineers. So we need to make sure that when they do their experience overseas, that condition is met. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I think it's a great opportunity for students to get that experience, not just with working work placement here in Australia, but also that international experience. I know for my own personal experience, I've got relatives and my father-in-law are all engineers and they worked all around the world. So, being able to understand the way other countries do things as well is fantastic. Okay, I'm going to go to you, Jodie. If a student at the end of year 12 doesn't end up with the ATAR that they need to get into the course that they really want to get into, what would you suggest? What kind of pathway should they take if they want to get into a construction or engineering degree?
Firstly, I would probably ask whether they have studied a vocational educational training course, so a certificate for or a diploma while they are at school, because at Griffith we do rank them on that diploma. So even if they don't have the ATAR required to get into the course, they may also be able to be eligible on that qualification. Apart from that, we do have what we call upgrading via university studies. So you would come into a lower ranked degree, study that for probably 12 months, so an academic year, and then you can reapply for or apply for a transfer into the degree that you're wanting to go into. So lots of bridging program opportunities as well that we offer. So I would highly recommend that just to get in contact with us, because then we can work out an individual pathway for that particular student.
Okay, that's interesting to know. Kerry, at UNSW, would you suggest that they go into a lower entry level course as well before and then maybe do an internal transfer? And if they did, does it have to be like a science or something a little bit more technical? Or could they just do, studying an arts degree or something else?
Sure. So that is also an option at UNSW. It can be a little bit tricky because it does depend on what courses will then transfer with them, or whether they'll have to essentially in some way start over. So you've definitely highlighted the right degrees that they might want to choose, Trudy. That would really be those science degrees are going to be a more natural transition. That being said, for students who perhaps don't have that necessarily have the ATAR to get into our programs, we do, similar to what Jodie was speaking about, have some different entry options. So for us, that includes things like our FIES scheme, which really allows students to show their passion for engineering and gain some additional points there to be able to get entry. And that's through an additional application that looks at some of what they've done outside of their studies. We also have something like our elite athletes, performers, and leaders entry pathway. So that's for students who have done things at the state or the national level and should get some recognition for those as well. So there's lots of different ways that students who might not necessarily have the required ATAR to get into our programs might still be eligible. So sometimes internal program transfer is an option, but it's certainly not the only option.
Yeah, fantastic. And Sapani, construction. If I don't get into construction, what should I do? Should I just go into a business degree to start with?
So construction management is the most popular one, but there are some interlinked programs like the others mentioned, they can enter to those programs and get an internals transfer. For example, we have a 3-year degree, construction technology, which is having a lower ATA. So they can start with that. And we have another program, which is very much sharing like 75% of the same units, that's building design management. And so they have different options, and ATA, the published ATA may not be the only criteria. Sometimes they can get to the same program with other criteria such as true rewards and bonus points. So don't get discouraged if you don't have the published ATA itself, because we have students entering with lower ATA with other points. And also there are other options like we have the same first year in our college, Western Sydney College, so they can start from there and get a transfer to the second year of our program. And the other option is, like others said, come through TAFE, and we have like advanced standing for similar units, so they can start most probably from second year.
Yeah, and the Western Sydney College, of course, is a fantastic opportunity for students looking at Western Sydney if they don't get that ATAR, because, as you say, they then basically guaranteed into the second year of the degree, which is a fabulous opportunity for those students who didn't quite just make the cut at the beginning. And of course, early entry schools recommendation schemes or the True Rewards program is another way, of course, getting into Western Sydney. All right. Lots of great information today, but I'm going to go around the panel. I'm going to ask you to choose something that you feel is, you can really highlight about your university. And if you could tell us what you think students really need to know if they're thinking about a construction or engineering degree. I'm going to start with you, Jodie, please, from Griffith.
Sure. So at Griffith, we really pride ourselves in the support that we offer our students. So we want you to come to Griffith to get a degree, but we want you to leave with a job at the end of it as well. So we really offer those opportunities for our students in the practical experiences throughout the degree, and we match you up with industry mentors as well. Another thing that we also offer is our Science Plus program. So literally stands for students, professional learning for university students. So where they, throughout their degree, they gain their experience and develop and enhance their employability skills. So that's something that we really work on, is just the employability factor and the practical experience during their degree for our students. So highly recommend come up to Griffith, especially if you want to experience the Gold Coast weather and also the lifestyle there as well.
Fantastic. Kiri, I'm going to move to you now from UNSW.
Sure. So for us, students that come and stay with us really get a balanced experience. And we think this is so important. Coming to stay with us isn't just about what happens in the classroom, but it's all of those additional pieces as well. Of course, students are coming for that degree. We are the #1 ranked engineering school in Australia. So we've got fantastic academics and researchers that students will really get to learn from and work with. But we also have really key industrial experiences that students have as part of their degree. It's actually a mandatory part of their degree at UNSW. So they're able to really take what they're learning in the classroom and apply it right away before they've even graduated, and really makes them employable and sets them up to get a great job after they finish. And then we've got all of our clubs and societies and additional experiences that just make students well-rounded and make sure that they're having a great experience and really building that network that they're going to use once they graduate as well. So it's these three pieces that come together to make students be so successful with us.
Thank you for that. I'm going to now move to Fidelis. Can you give us some highlights for our audience, please?
Yeah, so I think at Western, we are mostly a teaching university, although we also do quite well in research. So in terms of support for learning, there are quite a lot of programs to support students. So regardless of the ATAR which you get into Western Sydney with, you will get quite a lot of support from your lecturers and also from other students as well. So we have programs which enable students to study in groups with the support of other students. And we also have programs which enable students who come with a lower mathematics background to start maybe with high school level mathematics, and then they can progress to university level mathematics. So we have those types of supports in the programs that we have. So if you are doing civil engineering, for example, we also have sub-majors, so you can specialize in other areas in your third and fourth year. So you can specialize, for example, in structures if you wanted to, or you could specialize in construction economics, which is related to Sepani's construction management as well. So we have those flexibilities within the course, so that you can sort of hone onto what you want to end up doing in when you finish uni. So strengthen the knowledge into the areas where you want to end up going into. I think in terms of industry experience, I think we have the normal 12 weeks industrial experience, but now we're also going to have some support through our school. So in the new school that we currently have, we have the option to have an employment support officer. So in future, students will actually get assistance for getting into internships. I think I'll leave maybe Sepani to say a bit more about Western Sydney in construction management.
Fantastic. Thank you. Sapani, you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, just want to say, like, if you really like to be part of building your future cities, choose one of the careers in construction management or engineering. Yeah, we have a great mix of theory and practical knowledge, and we offer flexible timetables, consolidated timetables, so that students can also work while they study. So yes, so it would be a great choice if you select one of the professions within construction or engineering.
And would you suggest that, of course, students coming or wanting to get into a degree like this, come visit the universities, go to the open days,
yes,
speak to people like yourselves that can, help guide them with their decisions? Yes.
Yes, of course. It's very good if they can come and attend our open days. Yeah.
Fantastic. Harrison, you're our student. What can you say to our audience that will help or give them the tips or give them some really good information from a student perspective on a degree like what you're doing?
I guess from the very start, since we've been mainly focusing just previously on, I guess, what happens if you don't get the ATAR as well. I guess the bottom line is just don't fret that much in regards to if you don't get your ATAR. There are a lot of other opportunities in terms of early entry, other alternative pathways as well. A lot of the pathways have been discussed in this particular chat from both Jody and everyone else as well. And so there's a lot of these options as well. At UTS, for example, as well, we have the flexible degree. That is also an option. We have a multitude of different, potentially going to a different degree and transferring the year after. I've actually done something similar for a different reason. I went to a biomedical science degree and transferred into biomedical engineering. So there's a bunch of different options for that as well. I guess the second thing is in regards to, subject-wise, like obviously there is, recommendations and stuff that is considered, much better for you to bridge the gap in regards to that knowledge basis when you go into university, but don't fret too much if you don't feel like it's something that you'd be able to do just over the long period of time in HSC, because it is a difficult and stressful time as well. But besides all the stuff, I guess, pre-university, during university, I guess the couple of things is interact. There are a lot of opportunities at every university to, I guess, either network, opportunistic, be it friends, colleagues, work, or anything like that as well. A lot of the sort of job opportunities, potentially real life opportunities as well, will actually come from these interactions with both university students, academics, and that sort of things as well. I've actually got a couple of my internships and some of my friends through like literally just knowing individuals at the university as well. And through that as well, a lot of the sort of communities that are available at the university as well, such as societies, which are both indirectly and directly affected by the university, of course, because some are student run, some are more focused at the university as well. A lot of these things for potentially like personal reasons, work related reasons, that sort of stuff as well. And I think that's pretty much it in regards to this stuff. Oh, actually, one last thing. I guess the main focus is, I know both for construction management as well as for engineering, the key point is practicality. So I do understand that it might feel like potentially like, that the internships, depending on where you go, obviously there are internships that are fantastic. There are like cadetships that are like great. You enjoyed every minute of it, but there are hardships that do come up here and there and that sort of thing as well. But I guess the main focus is to look in the long term sort of that in that regard as well, and mainly focusing on how will this help me achieve more opportunities in the future? How will this be able to provide working or potentially relative experience in X field or Y field, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's like any career that you go into. You start at the bottom and you work your way up. And some of the things we do down in the bottom are not always the most favourable, and we don't always love them, but it gives you that experience and it gives you the knowledge to actually then, once you get up to the top, know what's happening at the lower level. So absolutely right there. There's always a hardship somewhere. I think you can honestly say that we've heard some great information from our panelists today. I really want to thank you for joining us here today to set straight some things on, don't worry if the ATAR that you've got is not going to get you into construction or engineering. There are lots of other pathways into university. And of course, once you're into university, no one usually asks about your ATAR again anyway. Once again, I really want to thank our panelists here today. I thank you for joining us, and I hope that you do well in your coming years at school. Thanks very much.
UAC represents many institutions across New South Wales and the ACT. The universities featured in today's webinar are a small selection of the many institutions which offer the courses discussed today. Students should research all university offerings so they can make informed decisions regarding their future study.
Dreams. We're all born with them. Dreams of adventure, of finding a sense of purpose, meaning, of reaching our full potential. And wherever your dreams take you, your journey starts with UAC.